You are watching the world 24/7 on the NDTV network. I am Parmeshwar Bava. An action-packed bulletin lined up for you. Let's begin with the top stories you need to know. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European allies pressed Donald Trump on security guarantees for Kyiv as part of a peace deal with Russia. But this landmark gathering at the White House was far warmer than the last time Zelensky visited Washington and clashed with the US president. Meanwhile, Germany's Chancellor says Zelensky and Vladimir Putin are likely to meet within the next 2 weeks. A call between Vladimir Putin and Narendra Modi affirmed the country's close ties despite Washington's demands for New Delhi to wean itself off Russian oil. Prime Minister Modi thanked his friend Putin for briefing him on his recent meeting with US President Donald Trump. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi ahead of the latter's first visit to China in 7 years. External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar is set to visit Moscow for the 26th India-Russia Commission and meet his counterpart, Sergei Lavrov. The United States has revoked over 6,000 international student visas because of violations of US law and overstays, as per reports. Let's begin with our big focus. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and European allies pressed Donald Trump on security guarantees for Kyiv as part of a peace deal with Russia. But this landmark gathering at the White House was far warmer than the last time Zelensky visited Washington and clashed with Donald Trump. Both men have expressed hope for three-way talks with Putin aimed at ending the war, though fraught issues like territorial lines and the presence of NATO troops in Ukraine could pose hurdles to peace. Let me just break it down for you, though. The on-camera portions, as you can see on your screens, of both of Monday's meetings were friendly in tone, particularly compared to Zelensky's disastrous visit in February. The Ukrainian president described it as his best meeting with Trump so far. The European leaders, meanwhile, praised Trump's efforts for peace while prodding him to reconsider his decision to stop pushing Putin for a ceasefire and instead jump straight to a negotiating comprehensive deal. Trump also said the US would be involved in providing post-war security guarantees for Kyiv. He didn't rule out sending US troops, though he said that Europeans would be the first in line of defense. But these discussions around security guarantees seem to strike a nerve in Moscow. Meanwhile, coming in fresh, Germany's Merz has confirmed Zelensky and Putin are likely to meet within 2 weeks. Just listen in to Donald Trump and Zelensky's reactions, followed by Nick Harper's detailed report.
Thank you, President Trump. So, President Zelensky, you say in a post on X today, Russia must end this war, which it itself started. President Trump, you say President Zelensky of Ukraine can end the war with Russia almost immediately if he wants to. Which is it?
Well, I think that's true. I think they'll we're going to have a meeting. I think if everything works out well today, we'll have a trilat. And I think there will be a reasonable chance of ending the war when we do that. I don't think you need a ceasefire. You know, if you look at the 6 deals that I settled this year, they were all at war. I didn't do any ceasefires. And I know that it might be good to have, but I can also understand strategically why, well, you know, one country or the other wouldn't want it. You have a ceasefire and they rebuild and rebuild and rebuild, and, you know, maybe they don't want that. But if you look at the 6 deals that we made peace and you know, long-term, long-running wars, I didn't do any ceasefires. Would I like the concept, you know, I like the concept of a ceasefire for one reason, because you'd stop killing people immediately, as opposed to in 2 weeks or 1 week or whatever it takes. But we can work a deal where we're working on a peace deal while they're fighting. They have to fight. I wish they could stop. I'd like them to stop. But strategically, that could be a disadvantage for one side or the other. But all of these deals I made without even the mention of the words ceasefire.
President Zelensky, are you prepared to keep sending Ukrainian troops to their deaths for another couple years, or are you going to agree to redraw the maps?
Thank you for your question. So, first of all, we live under each day attacks. That today have been a lot of attacks and a lot of wounded people, and the child was dead, small one year and a half. So we need to stop this war, to stop Russia, and we need support American and European partners, and we will do our best for this. So, and I think we show that we are strong people, and we supported the idea of the United States, of personally of President Trump, to stop this war, to make a diplomatic way of finishing this war, and we are ready for trilateral, as President said. This is a good signal about trilateral. I think this is very good. Thank you.
Well, there was lots of talking at Monday's White House meetings, but it's unclear exactly how much was decided upon. Perhaps the greatest success was not seeing a repeat of what we saw in February, that Oval Office bust-up between the US president and the Ukrainian leader, when the Ukrainian delegation was told to leave the White House early. On Monday, though, Donald Trump saw a whole range of European leaders standing ready to show their support for Ukraine. And Volodymyr Zelensky, having that backing, was able to push forward on a key number of ideas, in particular security guarantees that Zelensky says are crucial for Ukraine's future. Now, Russia has ruled out the possibility of Ukraine joining NATO, but Ukraine might get security guarantees similar to those that NATO members enjoy. That Article 5, whereby other NATO members stand ready to defend a NATO member if it is attacked. Ukraine might get something like that. There's also the possibility of potentially a peacekeeping force in Ukraine, including US troops. But remember, Russia has also ruled that out so far. Donald Trump spoke on the phone for about 40 minutes with the Russian leader during the course of Monday's meetings, trying to push the idea of a two-way meeting between President Putin and President Zelensky. The Kremlin, though, doesn't seem fully on board with the idea. Donald Trump is hoping that it could take place in the coming weeks at an unspecified location. He says that he would then join for a three-way meeting afterwards with those two leaders. Some of the more sensitive issues, including how to divide up territory, those are decisions that will take place another day. We're told that territory was discussed in granular detail. There was even a map that the leaders were poring over. But it's unclear what Russia might keep or might give up as part of any concessions in the overall peace agreement. And then this idea of a ceasefire, something that Zelensky says needs to happen, and many Europeans agree with him on this matter, before there could be a peace agreement. Donald Trump just says there needs to be a peace agreement rather than an interim truce. That seems to be another sensitive issue that will need to be decided another day. There were plenty of very positive remarks after this meeting, all of the leaders saying that it was a success, that they made progress. It's just unclear exactly what was decided upon that might take Ukraine further down the road towards peace. Nick Harper, NDTV, Washington.
Well, for further clarity on the matter, joining us currently on the World 24/7 geopolitical strategist, Michael Feller. Thank you so much, sir, for making time for us. The US president has offered only vague signals over ensuring US guarantees for Kyiv security, and also dodged questions about what exactly a deal might look like. But what was the most significant takeaway for you?
So I think the significant takeaway was that Zelensky seemed happy to go along with what Trump was proposing, which suggests to me that he's accepted the reality that he's not going to be able to continue the fight with diminished US support. And though he had 7 European leaders flanking him, it suggests that Trump and or Putin have gotten their way here.
Right. We also know, meanwhile, coming in at the moment, Germany's Merz says that Putin and Zelensky are likely to meet within the next 2 weeks. But if we look between the lines, would you argue that security guarantees for Ukraine and territorial claims by Russia may be two of the thorniest issues if Putin and Zelensky do end up at the negotiating table?
I think the security guarantees issue is bridgeable.
Okay.
Ukraine had security guarantees of a sort under the 1994 Budapest Memorandum, and obviously that did nothing to stop the invasion of the annexation of Crimea in 2014, or the beginning of the war that we're seeing now come to a close in 2022. So I think Putin would be happy to accept a form of assurance, because it's not really NATO Article 5, even though Trump can talk about it as being similar to NATO. The issue, though, is going to be territorial transfer. I think that Putin is going to probably relinquish the bits of Kherson that he doesn't already control, because it's over a river and he has a defensible border. But Donetsk, he will probably seek that. That's the so-called fortress belt of eastern Ukraine. And without that territory, Russia is arguably vulnerable to further assault from the West. And although that's probably unlikely to happen, it's probably an argument that he will make. So I think there will be, some swapping in that sense, although it is sovereign Ukrainian territory. So is it really swapping? That's up for debate.
Right. We'll, of course, keep a close eye on all the key developments with you, sir. Thank you so much for making time for us and joining us on NDTV. Meanwhile, as I mentioned, Germany's Merz has said that Putin and Zelensky will meet within the next 2 weeks. We actually have a reaction from the German Chancellor. Listen in.
Treffen zwischen dem russischen Präsidenten und dem ukrainischen Präsidenten innerhalb der nächsten 2 Wochen geben wird. Dieses Treffen soll an einem Ort stattfinden, der noch vereinbart werden muss. Präsident Trump hat sich bereit erklärt, danach erneut zu einem Dreiertreffen einzuladen, sodass die Verhandlungen jetzt wirklich aufgenommen werden können. Treffen zwischen
On that note, let's turn our attention to the other big story we're tracking. Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi will meet Prime Minister Narendra Modi in New Delhi this evening. This meeting assumes significance as it is taking place days before Prime Minister Modi's planned trip to China to attend the annual summit of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, the SCO. The Chinese Foreign Minister's visit is largely seen as part of ongoing efforts by India and China to rebuild their relationship after it came under severe strain following the deadly Galwan Valley clashes back in 2020. Mr. Wang Yi's trip is also seen as important as it comes amid increasing tensions in India-US relations following Donald Trump's doubling tariffs on Indian goods to 50%, which included an additional penalty of 25% for purchasing Russian crude oil. Here's what Dr. Jaishankar and the Chinese Foreign Minister had to say after their meeting, though.
Having seen a difficult period in our relationship, Excellency, our two nations now seek to move ahead. This requires a candid and constructive approach from both sides. In that endeavor, we must be guided by the 3 mutuals: mutual respect, mutual sensitivity, and mutual interest. Differences must not become disputes, nor competition conflict. Excellency, when the world's 2 largest nations meet, it is natural that the international situation will be discussed. We seek a fair, balanced, and multipolar world order, including a multipolar Asia. Reform multilateralism is also the call of the day. In the current environment, there is clearly the imperative of maintaining and enhancing stability in the global economy as well.
And dialogue at all levels. We maintained peace and tranquility in the border areas and resumed the Indian pilgrimage to the Mount Garampochi and Lake Mapayonzo in the Xizang Autonomous Region. We should firm up confidence to dispel interference, expand cooperation, and to further consolidate the momentum of improvement and development of China-India relations, so that while pursuing our respective rejuvenation, we can contribute to each other's success and provide the most needed certainty and stability to Asia and the world.
Meanwhile, External Affairs Minister Dr. Jaishankar will travel to Moscow to hold crucial talks with his Russian counterpart Sergei Lavrov amid some strain in India's ties with the United States over New Delhi's procurement of crude oil from Russia. Dr. Jaishankar's trip to Russia comes days after Ajit Doval traveled to Russia and met Vladimir Putin and several top-ranking officials there. But the two sides are also likely to give final touches to various elements of Putin's visit to India later this year. This is what people familiar with the External Affairs Minister's trip to Moscow have informed NDTV. Let's just quickly go across to Mohammad Ghazali, who's been tracking all the finer developments for us. Ghazali, take us through what we know about Dr. Jaishankar's Moscow agenda.
See, the External Affairs Minister is likely to fly today to Moscow, and tomorrow he will be attending a lot of meetings besides having a meeting with the Foreign Minister of Russia day after on 21st of August. Now, what is going to be the agenda of the meeting? As you rightly pointed out, there are many unfinished business which is likely and which is due in India, because India has to also host annual summit between India and Russia. Russia's President, Mr. Vladimir Putin, is also expected to attend that. But before that, obviously, the oil trade is something which will prominently figure in the discussion, because we have seen that how US has been threatening India with second-wave tariffs, and the flip-flop from US administration allowing China to purchase oil from Russia, but targeting India particularly. Though the Indian government has categorically rejected all the accusations of the US administration that perhaps India is a country which is funding the war for Russia, were the kinds of words which are used by the US administration. And even Russia has categorically rejected and sort of backed India, saying that every independent country or sovereign nation is free to choose their partners in trade. So these issues will certainly come up for discussion. We are also being told that though there has been no talks around the RIC, the Russia, India, China summit, but since both the parties or all the three countries are getting closer after there have been talks between India and Russia. Yesterday only the Russian President, Mr. Putin, he spoke to Prime Minister Modi. He also shared the details of the Alaska summit. Then our External Affairs Minister going to Russia today. And then we already have the Chinese President in Delhi. So a lot of talks are going around that perhaps the Trump's tariff has brought these SCO member nations together, and we may see further development in that regard.
Well, New Delhi is definitely on a diplomatic role. As always, Ghazali, thanks so much for taking us through the plan of action. In other crucial news, the United States has revoked more than 6,000 international student visas because of violations of US law and overstays, reports have highlighted. In fact, reports quote the agency saying that the vast majority of the violations were assault, this is the US State Department, driving under the influence, burglary, and support for terrorism. But this move comes as the Trump administration continues its crackdown on immigration and international students. While the US State Department did not specify what they meant by support for terrorism, the Trump administration has targeted some students who have protested in support of Palestine, arguing they had expressed anti-Semitic behavior. Slipping into a quick break, back in a moment with the latest updates for you. Do stay tuned.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux. From conflict to India's crowning glory, I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
And you know, that's why it's being said that after Kahuna Pyare, this is the film that has got two superstar debutants who are becoming superstars. But what was this faith that you had on these two that you know that shows on screen?
You know, you don't plan to make a blockbuster. You plan to make a good film. And that's what I think they never let me, they didn't put that pressure on me to live up to. They never gave me a number that we have to hit or a so-called figure that I have to open to. There was, all these trappings were just not there, which normally producers do end up putting that pressure. Then you make wrong things. Then you add a song for a shadi song, add a Punjabi song. All these trappings were not there in this film. They were like, just go there and make your film. Do this script. We love this script and make it honestly. And I think the minute that happened, a filmmaker I could just spread my wings and just go out, not worrying about a few. I think when you do that, you get a little more fearless. And then that's what got picked up by people. So I cast appropriate for the film. I didn't cast thinking. I cast what felt right.
You were saying that you are going to say no to him.
Yeah. But that's his fault. Huh? He was now you see, now that we can talk about the film, Krish Kapoor cannot be a timid, sweet boy.
Yes,
sir, how are you, sir?
Last time we spoke.
Yeah, and I was like, what is this guy? He was a sweet boy and all that. Then by the end of the night, I could see the boisterous self, and I could see the Krish Kapoor who could stand on top and say, don't forget this name, it's Krish Kapoor. So I think I was looking for that a bit. I needed a spark of that.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault Lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
Welcome back. Apple India has leased around 2.7 lakh square feet of office space in Bangalore for 10 years with a monthly rent of 6.3 crore rupees, according to data analytics firm PropStack. Apple is the biggest exporter of mobile phones from India. It exported iPhones worth about 1.5 lakh crore rupees in the financial year 2024-25. And the company has taken multiple floors, including car parking space, on lease from the real estate firm Embassy Group. The iPhone maker is estimated to pay more than 1,000 crore rupees in rent, car park and maintenance charge over a period of 10 years. Meanwhile, a group of between 30 and 50 critically ill and injured Palestinian children will reportedly be evacuated from Gaza to the United Kingdom for medical treatment in the coming weeks. They could be the first children brought to the UK for treatment as part of a government operation being coordinated by the Foreign Office, Home Office and Department of Health. In other news, driven by social media and celebrities, Cambridge Dictionary has added thousands of new words over the last 12 months. Among the new entries are skibbity, delulu, inspo and broligarchy. There have been a total of 6,212 words added, the dictionary has said. A number of them have been linked to celebrities or public officials, and others have been popularized by Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Meanwhile, Intel and SoftBank have announced that the Japanese conglomerate will make a $2 billion investment in the embattled chipmaker. SoftBank will pay 23% deeper, $23 per share for Intel's common stock, which closed on Monday at $23.66. The share rose about 6% in extending trade to $25. And with the road to the T20 World Cup title defense entering serious territory, starting with the Asia Cup T20 in the UAE next month, all eyes will be firmly placed on India's T20I squad announcement for the continental event. The focus, we're told, will be on identifying impactful players who can perform consistently under pressure, and IPL performances will heavily influence selection decisions. But they will be faced with massive dilemma. We'll keep tracking the latest for you. For now, we are signing off. Thank you so much for investing your time in watching this episode. We'll keep tracking the latest for you.
Rajasthan is history, culture, and much more. And I have been reporting on all things royal for more than 25 years.
The colors, the culture, and the complexities of the Northeast is different from the rest of the country. I have been bringing the Northeast closer to the capital for over 15 years. Madhya Pradesh is the heart of India, and I have been capturing its every beat for over 10 years, covering the corridors of power, what is said, what is left unsaid, and what it actually means for you and me. I have it all covered.
Kashmir is often called paradise on earth, a region that has been in a state of flux from conflict to India's crowning glory. I have been reporting and decoding Jammu and Kashmir for last 3 decades.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
From interesting tech startups to industry-leading companies, politics, sports, culture, curry, cricket. Oh, there's so much to talk about. Like me, if you too thrive on interesting conversations, this is a show you cannot miss. Watch this space to know more about all matters and all people that make Britain what it is today. Out of Britain, with me, Radhika Iyer.
When facts are fragmented, we put the pieces together. Where power collides with truth, we are there.
Behind me is that massive security arrangements that are in place.
Behind fractured boundaries, we clear the fog of war. Fault lines with Gauri Dwivedi, only on NDTV World.
In today's interconnected world, India's voice is more crucial than ever. When India speaks, the world listens. At NDTV World, we are that voice, bringing you intelligent and insightful news from India and beyond. From geopolitics and diplomacy to economic shifts, migrations, tech disruptions, and the stories of our diaspora. We cover the news that shapes our global future. NDTV World, your new home for global news, is here.
This is NDTV, and you're watching NDTV 24/7.
A very good morning. This is NDTV 24/7. You're watching The Breakfast Show. I'm Divya Vadva. We have a whole lot lined up for you, including a very crucial meeting that's coming up with the Chinese foreign minister who's here in India. He's going to be meeting with Prime Minister Modi, as well as the national security advisor. That's going to be happening later today after having met S. Shankar yesterday on day one of his visit. We'll also get you a check on the red alert situation as far as rain is concerned in Mumbai. Schools are closed for yet another day. Over 500 millimeters of rainfall has been received over the last 3 days. Today is day 4 of heavy rainfall in Mumbai. We'll get to the details. First, the headlines. Overnight rain, we are talking about a very heavy rainfall that has been recorded, and the schools have been shut in Mumbai today. The maximum city is on a rain red alert. NDA Parliamentary Board meeting to take place with the Prime Minister. They're introducing the pick as far as the vice presidential candidate is concerned to all the MPs. And Asian giants look to thaw ties as Chinese foreign minister is here in India. He has met with S. Shankar today. He will be meeting Prime Minister Modi. And Trump and Zelensky are expected to have that cordial meeting at the White House. Now, Trump is set to host both the leaders, and that is a meeting that's coming up. That is what Germany has gone on to say. That meeting could take about 2 weeks' time. This is post the meeting of Donald Trump along with the heads of Europe. We're talking about the European heads, and also that crucial meeting with Zelensky. At that meeting, of course, a lot of positivity has come out, and a lot of handshakes and a lot of smiles. Everyone seems to be very happy with how that meeting went. And Shubman Gill's selection is uncertain as the selectors meet to pick a team for Asia Cup. It's a battle of big names versus the impact players for T20. Let's get your top story, and this is in regard to the last 3 days of relentless torrential rain, and we're talking about an average of 100 millimeters per day. On the overall, it's been 500 millimeters of torrential rain that has been recorded in a matter of 84 hours, and more rainfall is expected. And this is going to be heavy again, and that is what the forecast says. That is what the Met Office has gone on to say. A rain red alert has been issued, asking people to stay indoors and not to step outdoors. Schools and colleges have been shut today as well after being closed on Monday. Now, 2 people have died. One person died in a wall collapse that took place at the Nepean Sea Road, and the other person has died due to electrocution in Kanjur Marg. Now, severe waterlogging is being reported, particularly from Vashi, from Navi Mumbai. Numerous roads are submerged since Monday. Vashi recorded the heaviest. That is where it has been raining the heaviest. Let's just also go across to my colleagues Paras and Anuj joining us. Anuj, over to you first. When we talk about the impact, Paras, let's get in the true picture of how bad it truly is, and visuals playing out are actually showing how Mumbai has come to a grinding halt.
I'm standing here, in Sign where, it's a residential area, and I'd just like to show you around. This is a residential area, and this is the change that we are seeing from yesterday. Yesterday, of course, for the longest possible time, we saw that, there were only the few low-lying areas that were logged with water. However, today we are seeing that since morning, that is since 5 a.m. in the morning, we are seeing that the residential area